Here's why your prospects are ghosting you. Leads are coming in, calls are getting booked, and then people just vanish. No cancellation, no reason, just silence. Hey, if that's happening to you, the instinct is to fix your follow-up. Send more reminders, try a different email sequence, add another touch point. Most people spend months tweaking that and nothing moves. Here's why. The ghosting isn't starting at the follow-up. It's starting somewhere else entirely, somewhere where most people that they never even look. I've spent close to 30 years in high-ticket sales, and I've sold over $100 million in coaching and consulting. I've trained and hired more than 1,000 salespeople across that time. And what I've found again and again is that show rate problems are almost always a booking model problem, not a reminder problem. In this video here, I'm going to show you exactly where the system breaks. 5 specific places in order, starting with something most businesses have on their website right now that is quietly giving prospects permission to disappear before you've said a single word to them. Hey, the most dangerous page in your funnel, and we all love funnels, right? But who wants to know about the most dangerous one? Here's a question I want you to sit with for just a second. Not set it up, actually read it. Do you know what it is? When was the last time you guys looked at your booking confirmation page? Actually read through it. Like a prospect is reading through it for the very first time. Most of them say something like, thanks for booking, your call is confirmed for Thursday at 2 p.m. You can cancel or reschedule at any time using the link below. Oh, that message feels professional. It feels like good practice. It feels like customer service. But read it again, this time from the prospect's perspective. Hey, thanks for booking. Transaction complete. My job done. Your call is scheduled. This is a calendar event. It's bureaucratic. It has no more emotional weight than a dentist appointment. You can cancel at any time. Canceling is easy. Expect it. Like, I want you to cancel. And it's completely fine. You just handed them the permission slip on the most important real estate in your entire funnel. You told them this call doesn't really matter. Now, compare that to what happens when you book a great restaurant. They don't just confirm and tell you to cancel if you want. A great place says something like that. We're so excited to have you. Chef Johnny has something special planned. Is there anything we should know before you arrived? Is it a special occasion, an anniversary, a birthday? The experience starts before you even walk in the door. So while I'm still at home, on the phone, I'm imagining myself walking into the fancy restaurant. The reservation has weight. Guys, your confirmation page has to have the same thing. Lead with outcome. Use real testimonials, not polished graphics, not AI, not branded templates. Screenshot text messages from actual clients that speak to the result they got. Something like, working with this team is like owning your own cash printing machine. That's actually what one of my clients said, that when we started working with them, but they said that working with Sales Lever is, I've got a cash printing machine, okay? That line does something no logistics confirmation page ever does. It makes the prospect think, I'm about to get something real, not, I've got an appointment, something worse than the dentist. Before you move on, open your confirmation page this week. Take out the cancel anytime language, replace the logistics with outcome, add 2 or 3 client screenshots that resell the results, not the call, the result. Nobody wants to be on a freaking sales call. They want the result. So sell the result and help them to see themselves in that result. Now, here's the problem that sits underneath the confirmation page, and it's bigger. The model itself, it's broken. Most people hear, fix your confirmation page. And they think, okay, I'll clean that up and the rest of my booking flow stays the same. But the confirmation page is a symptom. The real problem is the model it lives inside. The book your call model lead comes in, picks a slot, you wait, is broken for cold traffic, not suboptimal, broken. Here's why. When someone fills out a form, they're acting on a moment, a thought, a spike of motivation. They saw something, it caught them, they clicked. Because that moment's really real. It has a very, very short half-life. So here's what actually plays out when you default to book a call. The first available slot is tomorrow morning, but they have work tomorrow morning. So they push it out tomorrow evening, and then there's practice. The kids, the weekend fills up, and the whole week goes by, a month goes by, the lead is cold, they've already talked to someone else, and they just never rescheduled. That's not a follow-up failure, that's an architectural failure. And this is why your show rate won't move no matter how many reminder emails you send, because you're trying to solve a timing problem with a messaging fix. Did you get that? You're trying to solve, you're trying to take that client, that prospect's time and say, you got to fit into my time instead of meeting them where they're at. So what is the sequence? What does it actually look like? The first thing, and this alone will change your response rate, is asking for preferred contact method on the application itself. Phone, text, email. Put that question before anything else. Almost everyone says text, so meet them there. If the best way for me to respond to you and to communicate with you is over text, that's what I want to do, especially on the conductor side. It's not a small detail. It's the difference between a message someone sees immediately and one that sits in an inbox until it's buried. The second piece is the first touch point. And the timing on this, it's critical. The window of genuine motivation after someone fills out a form is very short. Every hour you wait, the thought that drove them to fill it out gets colder. Every hour, the chance they respond to your first message drop. Did you guys get that? Every hour that you wait, your lead gets colder. Okay? Speed is the single most important variable in the entire system. And the goal of that first message is not to sell. The goal is to get a response. Because a response creates investment. Once they've replied to you, they're no longer passive. They've actually engaged. They've taken action. They're in a conversation, and a conversation is dramatically harder to ghost than a calendar entry. This is also when lead enhancement, when it happens. So send them something to watch. They're no longer passive. They're in a conversation. And a conversation is dramatically harder to ghost than I already said that. Calendar entry, won't edit that. So this is where this is also where the lead enhancement happens. Send them something to watch or read before any sales conversation takes place. A short video, a few client results, a brief case study. Most entrepreneurs assume that because someone filled out the form, they're ready to spend $10,000. They're not. They like what you said. That's it. I have to do the enhancement and I have to educate them. It's the bridge between interest and intention. Without it, you're asking someone to make a significant financial decision based on a fleeting moment of curiosity. And you know what? If that's a newspaper or a magazine or a candy bar, whatever, I can do that. On a $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 investment, people don't make those investments out of curiosity. Okay? So that's why it's so important to do that. The third piece, and this is the one that kills the most deals when it's skipped, it's qualification. 3 things have to be true before a prospect gets with a real-time committer or a closer. They have to have the time, they have to have the money, they have to have the decision makers all have to be present. And that last one, it trips up so many people. Any husband and wife, any business partnership, if everyone who needs to agree on and be approve of this investment, if they're not on the call, here's what happens. The husband gets on the phone and he's excited and knows how the program is going to help them, how it's going to change their life, and everything's going to be awesome. And he is excited and knows and has the value. And he goes to his wife and he says, honey, this great guy just talked to me on the internet and told me about this program and it's $10,000 and I want to get started. All the spouse hears is $10,000 because there's no value built in. And so we want to make sure that all the decision makers are present on the call, especially when you go through and explain the value of what the call is and how it actually is put together. The fourth piece is the reminder, and most people are sending the wrong kind. A standard reminder says, hey, don't forget your call tomorrow at 2 p.m. That lands again like a calendar notification. It reminds them of a logistics event. It does nothing. An outcome-based reminder says something like, hey, looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to dig deep into exactly what their problem is. Investing in real estate, building their business, becoming an insurance agent, whatever it is, okay? We're going to dig deep into that, and we're going to find out why that keeps happening and fixing it, what it's actually going to look like. See you tomorrow at 2. Now they read that, and they're not thinking I have an appointment. They're thinking, holy cow, I'm going to get a solution to one of my problems. Guess what? They show up. Emotion drives attendance. Logistics do not. Emotion drives sales. Logistics do not. When this sequence runs correctly, guys, preferred contact, immediate outreach with enhancement, proper qualification, outcome-based reminders, here's what it produces. Show rates, generally speaking, for most high-ticket floors, run, and people are going to tell you differently, 30 to 40% show-up rate. Sales level, we've got a 95% show rate over the last year. When a prospect goes from first touch point to a real sales conversation within 2 or 3 hours, close rates reach 80 to 90%. And that's not a better follow-up system. You guys, it's a completely different model. Now, here's what most people rush past. What has to happen in the first hour after contact is to make all of that stick. So within the first hour, the reps with the highest show rate are not the ones with the best scripts. They're the ones who move first. The moment a lead comes in, they call, text, and message. Not when they get around to it immediately. And the reason is speed matters. It's not just tactical, it's psychological. When someone feels out of form at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, they're in a specific state of mind, motivated, curious, thinking about their problem. By Thursday afternoon, life has moved in every direction, work, family, everything. Guys, think about what you guys were doing last week. We really got to sit down and think about it and really what the day was like, okay? That emotion fleets out of us so quickly, okay? That specific emotional state, it's gone. And your calendar reminder of, remember your appointment with Robbie at 2 on Thursday, guys, that's not going to bring it back. But something else happens when a prospect is properly prepared before the call. Hey, when they watch a short video, maybe a Loom call of you working and coaching some people, doing things, how things work out, maybe a quick masterclass, something of that nature, okay? That they've seen real client results. They've had a few questions answered about their situation. Now they arrive as a participant and they come into a teacher-student relationship. And here's something that trips up new salespeople all the time, where a prospect shows up with questions, they think it's bad. No, that's exactly the signal you want. They've been thinking about it. They're trying to figure it out. They want to do it. All of those things, they're saying, help me get there. Every small action that they take along from the entry into the funnel, from the very first lead all the way to the end of the close on a high ticket sale, every little step along the process, every time I get a yes, I'm moving towards that end result. And it builds towards that final yes. Each commitment, each yes that they make makes ghosting harder. It makes it harder for them to say no at the end. Because now they're not ignoring a calendar entry, they're ignoring a real person who's had a genuine exchange with them that wants to help them out. Okay, that said, even with the best system, someone will occasionally not show up. And how do you handle that moment matters more than most people realize. So let's say someone doesn't show up. The instinct is to follow apart, another email, then another telephone, a LinkedIn message, a call, WhatsApp. And here's what that sequence is actually coming across to as your prospect: desperation. Now, I'm an outdoors guy and I like to fish, so think about fishing for a minute. When you feel a nibble, and if you yank really hard, the fish runs away because you scare it. But if you give it just a little tug, and you just keep it just interesting enough, the fish comes back on its own and bites even harder. So when you chase someone who hasn't shown up, the volume of your follow-up becomes the message. Every extra message says, I need you more than you need this program. If I'm desperate, if I have, Alex Ramosi calls it commission breath, oh my goodness, okay, people run away and they can see it. The approach that actually works is something like, hey, looks like we miss each other, no problem at all. If timing's off, I completely understand. If you'd like to reschedule, here's the link. If not, genuinely hope things are going well. That's it, one message. Not a follow-up to the follow-up to the follow-up. Then put them into a long-term nurture flow where you're continuing to enhance the lead. Don't throw them away, be kind. I've seen salespeople that get mad at a lead because they don't close, and it ruins the prospect ever working with that entrepreneur. Now, so we put them in that long-term nurture because not now doesn't mean never. Now, there's a pipeline issue that makes this harder than it needs to be, and it's one of the most common things that I've watched derail a salesperson's performance: a bloated pipeline full of leads. The pipeline fills up. I remember back when leads were on computers, like I actually had them on a piece of paper and we picked up a phone and we dialed, but I'd see people with just stacks of papers everywhere. And guess what? Nothing happened because their pipeline was bloated. And your real opportunities are buried. Live conversations get missed. Guys, cramp your pipeline. A clean pipeline, it's manageable. And a manageable pipeline is something that you should really be able to manage in 5 to 30 minutes a day to make sure that you reach out, you touch base, and you're staying on top of things. There's one more thing that I want to leave you with, and it reframes everything that we've covered. And here's the real reason that prospects, that they go quiet. Between 40 to 60% of deals end with no decision. Not a competitor winning, just a clear no, just nothing. The prospect expressed real interest, they filled the form out, they showed up or came close to it, and then they chose the status quo. That's what ghosting almost always is. Not disinterest, but paralysis analysis. A prospect who doesn't know how to say no, who feels the weight of a significant decision approaching, who's anxious about being pressured into something, they don't cancel, they disappear, because disappearing is easier than having that conversation. And no follow-up sequence in the world is going to fix that. Because the problem isn't they forgot about you. The problem is that the friction of making the decision felt greater than the friction of doing nothing. Every step in this video is aimed at reducing that friction. If I can reduce as much friction top to bottom, it makes it so much easier. And if I can eliminate that in my funnel process, in my scripting process, in my sales process, in my marketing process, everything just flows and you remove that friction. The confirmation page, it resells the outcome. It lowers the anxiety about what's coming. The immediate touch point opens a real conversation that shrinks the distance between them and a human being. The lead enhancement that builds genuine intent before the sales conversation even starts. The qualification step that gets the right people in the room so the decision can actually be made. Outcome-based reminders reconnects them to the reason that they reached out in the first place. None of this is pressure, it's friction reduction. It makes saying yes easier than drifting away. It makes the pain of saying no greater than the pain of saying yes because that friction is removed. So the question is, hey, where's the friction living in your funnel, in your sales process, in your business? Start upstream. Look at the confirmation page. Look at what happens in the first 60 minutes after someone fills out your form. Look at who is and who isn't on your calls. The root cause is almost always there, not inside the follow-up cadence. It's not the follow-up cadence. Look further up. Here's what you have now. And guys, there's still one thing missing. After this video, hey, you guys are going to know the confirmation page most businesses use is actively telling prospects the call doesn't matter. You know that the book a call model is too slow for the way attention and the world moves today. You have the 4-step sequence to replace it. The first hour after contact is worth more than any reminder sequence you'll ever write. One call message after a no-show beats a full follow-up sequence every time, and then a clean pipeline is what lets you execute that with genuine confidence instead of need. And you know that ghosting is almost always a decision failure, which means the fix is upstream of your follow-up, not inside it. Now, here's the question. This entire system raises the moment you get it running. What happens on the call? Because here's the uncomfortable part about a 95% show rate. You can get everyone there and still close at 30, 40%. The sequence gets them the call. The conversation is what closes them. And closing a prospect who is warmed up, qualified, and prepared is a fundamentally different conversation than closing someone who showed up that you have to push or pressure in to the sale. Hey, the mistakes that kill deals at this stage aren't in the pitch. They're in the first 4 minutes before most salespeople even realize they've already lost the ring. Hey, that's what we'll be covering next. Check my YouTube channel, subscribe. If there's things in there that you like, love them, put comments in, and we'll respond. Thanks, guys.